Welcome back. You're watching NewsX, and this is the part of the evening where we put together a lot of stories that need to be told and the people that need to be recognized. It's the second wave superhero series that we've started as of this week, where we're recognizing organizations and individuals that have stepped out. Because we now live in a society where your strangers, your neighbors have been life saviors. Let's kick this off with our first guest this evening is Mahavir Basoya. He is a real estate agent who's been helping families do something that otherwise is a very private affair. Cremations. Even this, cremations, burials, has been heartbreakingly complicated over the past couple of months. And giving out a final farewell has not been easy. We've seen, in fact, many people abandoned in death. So thank you and a salute to Mahavir Basoya. Let's listen in to this heartwarming story.
As a sea of COVID bodies piled up at Delhi's crematorium grounds during the peak of the second wave, a real estate agent by profession, Mahavir Basoya took on the task to help families cremate their loved ones. What was considered a taboo by society, he took up as a service to the nation. He helped cremate over 20 COVID bodies in a single day. No psychological trauma or raging pandemic could stop him. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero Mahavir Basoya.
Hello and welcome. You're joining us on this brand new interview as part of our NewsX second wave COVID superheroes. Now, as India was reeling under an unprecedented crisis, there were some people that came out and helped others like bar none. In fact, they went ahead and went out of their way to be able to help other people. One such person is with us on the broadcast today. Hailing from Delhi, Mahavir Basoya has helped cremate COVID bodies. His relentless effort, of course, knows no bounds. And महावीर जी, हम आपको बहुत बहुत तहे दिल से शुक्रिया करना चाहते हैं आपने जो सर्विस करी है दिल्ली के लिए और इस कंट्री के लिए उसके लिए
धन्यवाद।
महावीर जी, पहली बात, जब सेकेंड वेव शुरू हुआ तो हमने देखा कि डेथ टोल जो था वो बहुत हाई था। ऐसे में ऐसा क्या हुआ जिसको देखकर आपको ऐसा लगा कि आपको बाहर जाकर और हेल्प करना ही पड़ेगा, मतलब देयर इज नो अदर वे बट टू गो आउट एंड हेल्प पीपल?
अभी जिस दिन ये शुरू हुआ था, 20 तारीख की बात है, 20 अप्रैल की, हमारे रिलेटिव की डेथ हो गई थी। मैं उनके संस्कार पे गया था। लाल कुआं प्रहलादपुर दिल्ली में है। वहां पे गया तो मैंने वहां पे बैठा था तो देखा कि एक लेडी है, उनके हस्बैंड की डेथ हो गई है, उस साथ में उनकी बेटी है। वो वहाँ उनके शव को उठाने के लिए एम्बुलेंस से उतारा था, शव को उठाने के लिए हेल्प मांग रही है लोगों से कि हमारी हेल्प कर दो आगे तक ले जाने के लिए। अब उनकी हेल्प के लिए कोई नहीं आ रहा था, तो फिर मैंने देखा कि ऐसे से बात है। फिर मैंने उनका हाथ एक तरफ से मैंने पीछे से मैंने पकड़ा और आगे से माँ बेटी ने उठाया, वहां तक लेके गए। उसके बाद मैं आके वहीं बैठ गया। फिर हम देखा, फिर एक दो शव ऐसे और आए, उनको कोई हाथ लगाने वाले, क्योंकि परिवार के कम लोग थे, डरे हुए हैं सब, बीमारी ज्यादा खतरनाक है। फिर मैं और ऐसे एक दो को और लेके गया। फिर मैं हमारे रिलेटिव का संस्कार हो गया, वो चले गए, मैं वहीं बैठा रहा। मैंने ऐसे पूरे दिन में फिर 20 लोगों का ऐसे कंधा दिया। फिर अगले दिन मैं सुबह उठा, फिर अगले दिन मैंने सोचा कि यार आज फिर जाके देखूं कि ऐसे लोगों की जरूरत तो नहीं है। मैं अगले दिन फिर वहीं पे पहुंच गया शमशान घाट में। वहां जाके देखा वही माहौल, कोई हाथ नहीं लगा रहा है, घर वाले आ रहे हैं, किसी के साथ कुछ लोग हैं, किसी के साथ नहीं है। फिर मैं अगले दिन फिर गया, फिर मैंने अगले दिन फिर मैंने वही काम फिर अगले दिन करा। फिर ऐसे ही बस ये दिमाग में आ गया मेरे को इनकी सेवा करनी है जिनको कोई हाथ नहीं लगा रहा।
महावीर जी, मुश्किल नहीं रहा आपके लिए? इतने सारे, मतलब रोज ऐसे बहुत कोविड शव थे जो कि आ रहे थे क्रेमेटोरियम्स पर। आपके लिए ऑन अ साइकोलॉजिकल लेवल मुश्किल नहीं था टू बी सराउंडेड बाय सो मेनी डिसीज्ड पीपल?
नहीं, मेरे लोगों को देखता था कि इतने डरे हुए हैं, सब डर रहे हैं, तो मेरे को ये दिमाग में था कि नहीं, मेरे को इस डर को छोड़ के इनके साथ मजबूर हैं, इनके साथ इंसानियत के नाते मेरे को इनके साथ खड़ा होना है। बस मेरे दिमाग में यही था कि इनकी हेल्प करनी है, चाहे कोई किसी को हाथ नहीं लगा रहा, मैं लगाऊंगा। तो मेरे दिमाग में से यही बात थी, इस वजह से फिर मैं इनके साथ वो करना शुरू करा मैंने।
तो एक दिन में ऐसे कितने लोग थे जिनकी आपने मदद करी, ऐसे कितने परिवार थे जिनकी आपने मदद करी उनके लव्ड वंस को क्रिमेट करने में?
मैं स्टार्टिंग में पहले मैंने जैसे लोगों के हाथ, जैसे जो कोई हाथ नहीं लगा रहा था, जब बॉडी शमशान घाट में उतरती थी तो मैं कभी कालका जी के शमशान घाट में चले जाता था, कभी प्रहलादपुर वाले में, वहाँ पे कोविड पूरा सेंटर बना रखा था, वहाँ पे कोविड वाले आ रहे थे। तो वहाँ पे जब मैं लोगों को जब मैं हाथ लगाने लग गया, फिर उसके बाद मैंने स्टार्टिंग में 20 लोगों को, कभी 25 लोगों को ऐसे कांधा दे रहा हूँ उठा उठा के, जिनके घर वाले सिर्फ कोई भी नहीं है, उनके साथ एक दो लोग ही हैं जो वो कर रहे हैं। फिर उसके बाद ये सिलसिला आगे बढ़ता चले गया, फिर मैंने लोगों के पास मैसेज पहुंचा, फिर उसके बाद ये और आगे ज्यादा बढ़ता है। एक दिन मैंने कम से कम 20-20 लोगों को कांधा दिया
जी। और महावीर जी, जैसे कोरोना का संक्रमण जो था वो बहुत तेजी से फैल रहा था, आपको कभी डर लगा कि आपको कोविड हो सकता है या आपके फैमिली मेंबर्स को कोविड हो सकता है?
नहीं, डर तो था कि इतनी महामारी चल रही है, इतने लोग डरे हुए हैं, हॉस्पिटलों में न्यूज में देखते थे इतना है। पर दिमाग में पता नहीं अलग ही फितूर घुस गया था कि नहीं, मेरे को जो भी होगा देखा जाएगा, बस इनकी हेल्प करनी है। घर वालों के डर से मैंने अलग रूम ले लिया, मैं घर पे ही नहीं जा रहा, अभी भी नहीं गया। मैंने अलग फ्लैट ले रखा है, फ्लैट किराए पे वहां पे रह रहा हूँ मैं, घर वालों को सेव करने के लिए मैं अलग रहने हूँ।
हमको ये भी बताइए महावीर जी, जैसे आप रोज जा रहे थे, यू वर गोइंग टू क्रिमेशन ग्राउंड, आप देख रहे थे ग्राउंड रियलिटी क्या है, हालत कैसी थी, कितनी बुरी हालत में था दिल्ली जब हमारा पीक था, आपने क्या देखा?
हमने न्यूज में, टीवी में, हर जगह समाचारों में देखा है कि जायदाद के लिए बच्चों को दूर होते देखा है, माँ बाप से, जायदाद के लिए भाई भाई को दूर होते देखा है, जायदाद के लिए रिश्तों को दूर होते देखा है। यहाँ तो रिश्तों को तार तार होते देखा है, कोई हाथ लगाने को तैयार नहीं हो रहा। इतने बुरी वो चल रहा था, बहुत बहुत बुरा समय, इससे बुरा समय नहीं देखा कभी।
जी जी। और कभी आपको आपके मतलब परिवार वालों ने ये कहा कि अपना भी ध्यान रखो क्योंकि कोरोना चल रहा है, तो अपने बारे में भी सोचो? कभी फैमिली मेंबर्स ने ऐसा कहा कि मतलब ना जाओ बाहर, अपना ध्यान रखो पहले?
मेरे बड़े बड़े भाई, मेरे जो हमेशा आदरणीय रहे हैं, मेरे बड़े भाई, मेरे मम्मी, मेरे वाइफ, सबने स्टार्टिंग में मेरे से कहा कि थोड़ा मत जाओ बाहर, इतनी परेशानी है, डरते थे। लेकिन उसके बाद जब मैं घर से बाहर जाने लग गया, मैं घर पे ही नहीं आ रहा था, मैंने घर पे फोन करके कह रहा हूँ कि मैं नहीं आऊंगा, ऐसे से मैं लोगों के परमिशन करवा रहा हूँ, मैं लोगों को कांधा दे रहा हूँ, तो करें। मेरे घर वाले मेरे को फोन करके बोल रहे हैं कि बेटे आज घर पे ना कोई ऐसे बच्चे आए थे, उनकी पिताजी की डेथ हो गई है, उनको कोई संस्कार करने वाला नहीं है, तो उनका संस्कार तू करके आ जा उनके साथ, और अपना ध्यान रखियो। घर वाले डरते थे, लेकिन मेरे को खुद घर वालों ने बड़ी सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं कि जा कहते थे खाना का, अपने खाने का ध्यान रख, अपना ध्यान रख, सपोर्ट बहुत करते हैं मेरे को।
जी। और महावीर जी, हम आपको जाने दें उससे पहले एक आखिरी सवाल, जो हुआ है देश में, जो देश ने देखा है, जो दिल्ली ने देखा है, यदि कोई एक लेसन ऐसा हो जो आपने सीखा हो, आपकी मतलब सबसे बड़ी सीख के सबके चलते जो आपने इनफैक्ट करा है देश के लिए, लोगों के लिए जो आपने करा है, आपकी सबसे बड़ी सीख क्या रही है इससे?
मेरे को तो बस सबसे यही हाथ जोड़ के यही रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि बीमारी है, मान रहा हूँ सब बहुत बड़ी बीमारी है, लेकिन अपनों से दूर मत हो, कोई अपनों से दूर ना हो, और भाई भाई के काम आए, अपने परिवार के काम आओ, समाज के काम आओ, अगर कोई मुसीबत में दिख रहा है उसके काम आओ। मैं तो सिर्फ यही कहूंगा, एक दूसरे के काम आओ, इंसानियत के नाते काम आओ, इंसानियत से ऊपर कोई चीज नहीं है। तो यही सीख दूंगा सबको कि जो मेरे से छोटे हैं, बड़े हैं, सबसे यही कहूंगा कि एक दूसरे के काम आए, एक दूसरे की मदद करे। बुरा समय है, निकल जाएगा, बहुत गंदा समय है, निकल जाएगा, अच्छा समय भी आएगा।
जी। महावीर जी, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इनफैक्ट न्यूज़ की टीम की तरफ से आपने जो करा है इस महामारी के चलते लोगों के लिए, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, और मोर पावर टू यू महावीर जी।
थैंक यू, धन्यवाद।
All right, that was my colleague in conversation with Mahavir Basoya. Our next guest on the broadcast, with it we are recognizing as a second wave superhero, is Aishwarya Suresh, an HR professional who has stepped forward in providing free home cooked meals to home isolated COVID patients who, for obvious reasons, were finding it difficult to get by on their own. My colleague Aarti Krishnan speaks with Aishwarya. Listening.
Aishwarya Suresh is an HR professional and a home cook. She provides free food for COVID patients. Her aim is to help people as much as possible. She cooks 10 meals for COVID patients every day. She cooks with love for COVID patients with an aim to provide them home-cooked food. Newsx proudly recognizes second wave superhero Aishwarya Suresh.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX. I'm Aarti Krishnan. On this episode of Second Wave Superheroes, I have with me Aishwarya Suresh, who does have a day job, but she goes ahead and does the service of providing free home-cooked meals for COVID patients. Welcome to the show, Aishwarya.
Hi, Aarti.
So go ahead and tell us about the work you do and when you started doing this service.
Okay. So I am basically a foodie. So I really love eating and I really love cooking food. So I felt this was somewhere I can connect to people right now in this situation. And I think food is the only way through which I can help people right now. So it basically started when I had this initiative in mind. And simultaneously, when I scrolled through my Instagram pages, I was able to see my my fellow friend Nida, who was uploading pictures and stories relating to her initiative. So that's when I thought, why can't we actually help Nida first, and then why can't we start something on our own simultaneously? So that's when it all started.
Right. How do you go about, cooking the food and then transporting it and then delivering it to the COVID patients?
So, see, Aarti, most probably I cook around 10 meals every day. Okay. We have a schedule in place for our association, and we have 30 different home chefs being part of this group, and we plan according to the number of clients and the number of meals which has to be prepared for the upcoming days. So we usually send food around 12 o'clock for the lunch, and 6:37 in 7 p.m. for the dinner. It goes like that.
Okay, so where do you get the funds from for this project? Do you take donations or you use your own money, you pool in money? How does that work?
Okay, so since this is absolutely free of cost, right? So there are people who are giving us funds, okay, our friends, family members, and also the customers who get the food after the isolation period, after their quarantine period. Most of them give us what they feel like giving back to the association. So that's also a way through which we get some of our funds for the association as such. But the food which we are supplying, it's absolutely free of cost.
Right. So you spend the entire morning doing this service, right? Can you take us through a day in your life and how it looks when you're doing this service?
Okay, so I am preparing only lunch, but there are a lot of home chefs who prepare all 3 meals a day. So I really feel for every home chef who prepares for every 3 meals a day, the entire day is going to look very, very hectic, because it approximately takes around 1.5 hours for cooking for 10 people. So when you ask me, I start cooking by around 10 o'clock. Okay, 9:45, 10 o'clock. And then I finish by cooking by 11:30, pack them, and I send them by 11:45 to the customers, because I want to make sure that the customers are supplied with nutritious meals at regular intervals. And I really feel that's Kavya and Nida's intention also for behind the entire initiative.
Right. Could you also tell us how does somebody reach out to you? How does a COVID patient reach out to you in case they want to, get food from you or order food from you?
So see, because we are an association, we do. I think social media is our only platform through which we can market ourselves for the entire initiative which we are trying to do. And apart from that, we do have friends, right? So I think the word of mouth marketing is the best way which is helping us right now. So there are a lot of customers who call us at any time of the day, actually. So they just want food, and they don't mind even if it's a paid service, but all they want is food right now. And but I feel it's only mostly through word of mouth marketing.
Right. And how does the delivery process work? There's no food wastage as well, I suppose.
No. There's no food wastage as such. So that's why I told you, Aarti. So we prepare a schedule the day before itself. So we'll be able to understand how many people are there. So how many people we have to cook for the next day, and for how many meals. So for breakfast, for example, if there are 5 to 7 families where we are going to cook, so we'll make sure that there are 2 or 3 home chefs who are volunteering themselves for cooking, making the meal for the families. So I don't think there's a wastage involved here. But the only problem which we are facing right now during the lockdown is the delivery, because I feel the lockdown restrictions, because of the lockdown restrictions, I feel the delivery executives are also facing some problem from their side to pick up the food and drop the food to different areas. That's the only issue which we have right now.
Do you think that there can be something that is done to allow delivery personnel to deliver for COVID patients?
See, I think that's what I heard from an association a delivery executive who spoke with me recently. So he said he was facing a problem because his company didn't help him with the e-pass. So I feel there are a couple of delivery companies which have helped their employees with e-pass right now. But still, there are a couple of other companies who have not gone front to take this e-pass. And I feel delivery executives are somewhere facing a problem because of the e-pass.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for joining us today. Thank you so much for the service that you're doing to the society.
Thank you. Thank you, Aarti.
All right, that was my colleague Aarti in conversation with Aishwarya. Let me take the opportunity of now roping in my colleague Priyanka, who is in conversation with a very, very interesting individual. This is Vivek Sharma. He runs a home healthcare company. This is called MediRent Services, and they've been providing facilities to more than 1,000 people, directly and indirectly, during the time when the hospital was stretched and simply couldn't admit any more patients. Here's an opportunity to listen in. Over to you, Priyanka.
One of the oldest and foremost home healthcare companies in India, MediRent has pioneered the concept of home healthcare and home ICUs in India. In its 14 years of existence, MediRent has served lakhs of patients. The company has care for the patients built in its DNA. During the second wave of COVID, MediRent served and saved around 1,000 patients directly or through other home care companies. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero Vivek Sharma, Managing Director of MediRent Services.
Hello, I'm Priyanka Sharma and you're watching our special series Second Wave Superheroes. Joining me today on the broadcast is Mr. Vivek Sharma, who is the founder of MediRent Services. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Priyanka.
Sir, tell us something about MediRent Services and how and when was the company started?
You see, MediRent Services is, if you talk about Delhi NCR, it is one of the earliest, oldest, and one of the largest home healthcare companies. When we use the word home healthcare, it's a very wide word having many different meanings. But the context in which we are talking right now, it's primarily setting up home ICUs. But otherwise, in addition to setting up home ICUs, we also do equipment rental. So when we talk about MediRent, this company was started in year 2007, and there is a interesting anecdote behind how the company started. It's the year 2006, and one of my friend's father was admitted to the hospital, and he was there for a long time, and I, along with my friend, went to see him in the hospital. And while talking to his father, my friend asked him, "Papa, आपके लिए ऐसा क्या करेंगे आप थोड़े से खुश रह सको? हॉस्पिटल में तो अभी रहना पड़ेगा." So he replied, "बेटा, हो सके तो मेरे को घर ले चलो किसी भी तरीके से." And he said it with a feeling which meant a lot. And I mean, this is a phrase that we have all heard so many times, and many times it doesn't strike you. But on that particular day in 2006, it struck. And I started thinking about it. Is it possible to take a patient home? And that's where the idea took place. And by early 2007, we came up with the idea after many discussions with specialists, with people, with industry specialists. And we started conceiving the idea that how to bring a patient home from the hospital. And that idea, converting that idea into a reality, that's what created MediRent. So we started with certain very, very simple concepts like providing home care medical equipment on rent, because there were people who were in the hospital only because they needed some equipment. There were people who were in the hospital only because they needed oxygen. So we started thinking around this. The first thing that we could start was home care medical equipment being provided on rent so that people can go home, those people who are in the hospital only because they need a particular equipment. And from there on, with experiences, with feedbacks, listening to our customers, clients, patients, interacting with the medical specialists, we finally came up with the idea of setting up ICUs at home so that patients who are qualified for that can be shifted back home with an ICU at home. So that's how the idea started. And
speaking about
so in 2007,
speaking about qualification,
so 2007 is the year when MediRent became a reality.
Right. So speaking about qualification, what is that particular criteria on the basis of which patients are admitted in home ICU, and how is the setting of a home ICU different from a hospital's ICU ward?
See, first thing that everybody wants to know, I'll answer the last part of your question first. Everybody wants to know what is the difference between a home ICU and a hospital ICU. There is a huge difference. In a hospital ICU, you take the ICU is there and you take the patient to the ICU. In a home ICU, you set up the ICU at home and mostly you bring back the patient, because mostly patient comes from the hospital to the home ICU. So the two things are very, very different. In a hospital ICU, there are various things which are available which cannot be made available in a home ICU. But one major advantage that a home ICU provides is the patient-nurse ratio. Because in a hospital, a nurse's attention is generally divided over a few number of patients. But when you have a home ICU, the nurse-patient ratio is generally 1:1. And that has a very major positive impact on the outcome of the treatment. On the other hand, the availability of the doctor in a hospital ICU is a very big advantage to the hospital ICU, which is irreplaceable in the home ICU. You can have a doctor visiting you in the home ICU, but he's not available on a call. So that's one disadvantage. Now, talking about the qualification, there are 2 or 3 type of cases which are considered. I will not say that that's the qualification, but which are considered. Number one, those patients who are lying in the hospital for a long time, and there is a possibility of hospital-acquired infection going to them. So that's one case which you want to shift back home. Two is the patient who is psychologically so down that he wants कि मैं घर जाना चाहता हूँ. And then there is a third category which we call the end of life category. Now these are the patients about whom the doctor has also decided that now nothing much can be done. Till the time the equipment support is there, the patient is there. When you remove the support, the patient will go away within 1, 2, or 3 days. So many people of this kind who this is their last wish, that they want to breathe their last at home, surrounded by their family members. So these also are the people who want to go back home. Now, if you talk about qualification is not something which can be explained like that and decided by people like you and me. Mostly it is decided in consultation with the treating doctor. The treating doctor has to see what is the condition of the patient and decides whether this patient can be shifted to a home ICU or not.
Okay. Especially with the COVID-19, the concept of home ICU has exponentially risen. How has your company been helping people amid this second wave?
You see, when you talk about the second wave, it broke all rules. In the first wave or before that, the patient was chosen by the doctor first of all, and then that patient was shifted home and a home ICU was set up. But the second wave was an exception. Exception because there were patients who needed hospitalization, who needed an ICU, and there was no choice available.
Right.
So these were the cases who were forcefully in home ICUs, and there was no other option to save their life. So the decision by a doctor became secondary because you did not have a choice of a hospital ICU. So many people, they took decisions on their own and they decided in favor of a home ICU. There was no alternative. And we set up innumerable home ICUs for patients, and we could save many lives during the second wave.
Absolutely.
So this wave was a little different because people were taking a decision on their own because there was no choice.
Right. Is there any particular message or gesture that stuck with you and makes you keep going?
To answer that very generally, there are innumerable. In the second wave, the number of people, I mean, telling you honestly, I'll tell you a slightly longer story. Being the director of my company, I normally do not take patients' calls which come in directly. But when this wave started, I was also not going to my office. I was sitting at home and managing the entire thing from here only. And then somebody put my number on the social media. And because of the panic of people, everybody started sharing. You need an home ICU, contact this person. You need oxygen, contact this person. And my phone started ringing almost 24/7. And on the second day, I took a decision that I am going to take calls, regardless of whether I can provide oxygen to somebody or not, whether I can set up an ICU or not, but I am going to take calls. And after that, I don't know for how many days, I was taking 300-400 calls every day. I could help only a few of them, but most of them, I was giving some advice because handling these patients day in and day out, I was a little better prepared than a layman. So I could give so many different advices, and the response that I got, I mean, I got responses which were unbelievable. That shows how much people were afraid of the situation. Even when I picked up a call and I said, I cannot help you, people said, sir, thank you very much. At least you picked up our call. And in all those cases where we could help people, where we could provide oxygen, where we could set up ICUs, the way people have expressed their gratitude is beyond my imagination. It keeps happening all the time. But this time, because of the desperation of people, because there were so many people who were they were trying for their life, for their own and for their loved ones' lives. So whatever small effort we could make, the messages that we got from people, the response, the way they express their gratitude, that is something which really moved us and will probably keep moving our organization for a long time. It keeps happening all the time, but this time it was the limit, and everybody expressed their gratitude that you saved my life, you saved my loved one's life. And that is something which keeps moving you.
Absolutely. Well, that's a wrap from our end. A special thank you to you and your team for doing such an amazing work, for saving my mother's life and so many patients' life. It means a lot. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. And as far as saving your mother's life is concerned, I will say it's our duty when we run a company which sets up home ICU. Anybody's mother, anybody's brother, it's our duty to save them. And I don't think we deserve any special thank yous. We are doing our duty and we try to do it to the best of our ability. Thank you very much, Priyanka.
Well, special thank yous are due. And if you know of some organization or individual who's been stepping out, and there are thousands and thousands of them out there, reach out to us on our social media handles and give us an opportunity to say thanks and show that, yes, we did notice and we haven't forgotten. We take a break. See you in a minute.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.